Welcome to Lockbox, a podcast providing real estate professionals with action items for success. My name is Jeffrey Brogger, and I'm going to be your host. I'm the founder of two real estate marketing and tech companies, STEEZY.Digital and realtor.io. In this podcast, you'll learn from top 1% real estate and mortgage brokers the exact secrets to their success. Welcome to Lockbox. Welcome to Lockbox. My name is Jeffrey Brogger, and I'm here with Johnnie Morine. How you doing, Johnny?
Doing great, Jeffrey. Thanks, man.
Thanks for being on today. So before the call, you were mentioning that when you introduce yourself, how do you introduce yourself?
I'm Johnnie Morine.
And
I always say the entire name. I'm Johnnie Morine. Everyone else is just saying John, whatever,
Hi, I'm John. I'm Johnny.
I'm Johnnie Morine. So people get a kick out of it, and we get a conversation going on. That's a lot of times, and in real estate, that's what we need. We need conversation.
No, that's so important. So one of my top clients, 26-year broker, does $100 million a year, very successful guy. He was doing a training about personal branding and just overall mindset and energy. And I happened to be there that week, just kind of visiting his market, and we went golfing, and then I hung out for his team meeting. And he talked about the handshake, like the handshake of a realtor, like how you introduce yourself is very important. If you say, "Hi, I'm Jeff," in a response, you'll get, "Hi, I'm Tammy," right? But if instead you say, "Hi, I'm Jeff Brogger," right? And you have more energy and a smile and boom, it's a different response that you elicit from the other person.
Absolutely. They want to follow you every day after that.
Yep. So why don't you tell...
Well, a lot of people just say, per se, "I'm Tammy." Almost like it's a question, like you're asking that person, "Who am I?" So, speak out and be motivated and just show the energy, because in real estate, we need the energy.
Yeah, and it's infectious. Yeah. So why don't you tell our listeners, a little bit more about who you are and where you're from?
Well, I'm Johnnie Morine, like I said, and I'm in Dallas, Texas. Our brokerage is in Arlington, Texas, and we cover Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston and East Texas. And we're trying to branch out to Austin and San Antonio and some areas like that right now. I have about 60 agents, or 63 or so, 65, and we're still growing. We're about 4.5 years into the brokerage part of it. I've been in real estate since, 8 years now. And I've always been in business, and I consider real estate kind of when I started the business, I considered it a consulting business. That I'm consulting other agents. I'm mentoring, not just mentoring and coaching, but consulting them. So I'm like, why don't we all come into the same company then? And that's when I built the business entity.
Very interesting. See, from the beginning, you looked at it as pretty much a consulting firm.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to absorb it that way day to day. Who am I going to speak with today? Who do I need to talk with today? Who needs my help today?
Right.
They don't have to set an appointment to talk with me. Just ring my phone. And I say, if you email me, well, first of all, if you text me, I'll reply back within a few minutes. If you call me, I know you need me right away. If you email me, I know I have a day or two. So I encourage people, if they really need to talk to me, go ahead and text me or call me. If I can't answer, I'll call right back.
Right. No, that's a very important part of relationships, as well as letting the other person know how you prefer to communicate, on what channels, and depending upon what urgency they need you. That's a really important part of communication, being clear about that. So, I love that focus and that introduction. What got you into the real estate industry?
I was in the business for a long time. I was in the technology business for probably 30-something years. But my youngest son wanted to go to TCU. And this is, 9 years ago. And I'm like, do I go into savings or go back to work? Because we sold our last business. So I'm like, okay, I can't really work. I can't punch a clock. So it's time for real estate. And once I got started, I started thinking, why didn't I do this 15, 20 years ago? But anyway, once I got in, it just came really easy for me. A lot of agents struggle to get their sellers and their buyers, and it just became really easy to me. And I took off. It took off right away. And I had agents around the Metroplex contact me, ask me if I would mentor them. And I would say no. And then they were persistent. And I ended up mentoring a few agents, and then it was time to build a brokerage.
Right. Makes total sense.
But he wanted to go to TCU, so I knew that was going to be some more money. So Unfortunately, he did get some scholarships, so that helped out.
But it was that catalyst and motivation for you to get back into some form of daily work. And
yeah, there's always a why, right? Yeah, there's always a why for everyone, for everything we do, whether we're buying or selling or any decision we make, we'd make it on a why.
Absolutely. 100%. And I'd love to touch on that more in just a second here, just so our listeners have some concept of where you are currently and where you're growing to. How many transactions did you do last year? What was your transaction volume?
We did 339.
Well done. Very good. And, what advice would you give to a real estate broker, team leader out there who might be hovering around like 150 transactions, 200, and they really want to break through that next barrier? What advice should they ignore? And then what are some levers that they can pull to get to that next level?
Well, it's always a lot of don'ts, but I would really have to speak with them and see what they're doing, what their systems are, because it's all about systems and assistance. A lot of people do not like to hire an assistant to have them take care of small tasks that they should not be doing. We don't need to be doing little tasks. You pay someone 10, 11, 12 bucks an hour or even less. So I would cover their systems. Just what are they doing and how are they using their agents? And are they using showing agents, selling agents, listing agents? I would just have to look into their systems. And there's a lot of systems, not just one system in business, because you got to approach it like a business. And once you start doing that, you might lose a few agents, but you're going to pick up some higher quality agents at the same time.
Yeah, that makes total sense. It's all about systems and assistance. I love that. And you're a coach for realtors, right? You have a coaching course?
Yes, I'm writing the course right now. I wrote a course for the company, internal, for mentoring agents. And I'm writing a course in a generic form right now to provide to all agents all over the country. I'm stripping away all of the Morine Group logos and technology pieces and stuff like that. Right. And I'm showing people how to really, the name that we just came up with just yesterday, I told you the name might be changing, was the behavior of the $1 million realtor. The behavior of the $1 million realtor. I think it's very important because we have to, you'll see the average agent, then the well above average agent, right? And solving the behavior, the way they carry themselves.
Interesting. So what's a new behavior in the last 5 years that has catapulted your business and your life?
Man, that's a question that came to me in the middle of the night a few years ago. And I asked myself, why does selling homes come so easy for me? Then how can I help my agents become better agents and sell more homes? And I asked, why am I special? And
great question.
And I was asleep, man. This was a dream, a pure dream. Seriously. And I got up and I was like, I'm like, this cannot be a dream, So I started writing it down. It all made sense. You know how you wake up and the dream does not make sense at all. There's no connections. But there was connections all the way through this dream. And an acronym from special came to me. And I thought it was my self-image. The way I carried myself was one thing that allowed me to meet more people, because we have to meet people. And I call it swag or self-image. Swag for a little fun.
Nice.
Then the P is for persona or personality. And so these are the traits. And the E is for excellence. Top producers out there, they're going to talk about what they're excellent in, not really their experience. Because a lot of people don't have experience. A lot of agents come into business. Well, agents come into business, they don't have experience in real estate, but they have excellence in something.
Yes.
And convey that to who you're speaking with, and you'll see where we go. Then the C is for common goals. You got to have common goals with anyone you're doing business with. Buyer, seller. If a seller want to sell a home for $300,000 and is only comping out at 170, it's not going to work. You got to get on the same page. You got to have the same common goals for a successful transition. I is for integrity, speaks for itself. And I have 3 A's. The first A is attitude. Attitude is a braking system. It can stop anything. So your attitude has to be correct, have to be right. And the second A is for alliances. You got to have partners in the business to help you close deals. And the third A is for audacity. You got to have the audacity to lead. If you're a specialist working, you got to have the audacity to go ahead and lead your client. If you let your client lead you, which I'm always telling people is, if you let your client lead you, whether buying or selling, you've lost the client. and the deal is probably not going to work out the way you'd like for it to work out. Right. You would wish you were on vacation instead of closing that deal. So special is a set of traits that I work off of, and I talk about, and I teach. I even wrote a book on it. I penned a book on it a little over a year ago, and it means everything to me. If I go through the special acronym when I'm working with someone or about to work with someone, and if one or two of those letters are not matching up between us, then I know it might not be the deal for me, or it might not be the partnership for me. And I tell people to apply this all the time. Apply to anything you've ever failed in, and tell me which one of the acronyms didn't go right. And they always come back and tell me something.
There's always something. And that is real coaching. You're not giving advice. You're providing a proven framework to work within. Absolutely. And directing your students back to that when they experience different failures, hurdles, or hardships. It's a great method. A lot of the coaching that I've done has gone through a similar framework where it's not the special framework, which is proprietary to you, but they gave me, something to work within. And then when I came back to them and I thought I was calling them for advice, they would say, well, what did you write down when we first started this and we did that workshop? Well, what did you write on paper? And I would go review, and it would hit me like a ton of bricks. Oh, gosh. Right. So yeah, that's the power of coaching. And I continue to invest in coaching it myself. So it sounds like a phenomenal program. I can't wait for that to be released. And I'm sure a lot of other agents are very excited about it.
Yeah, I think it's been fun writing it so far. It's been really fun. And, I might be kind of going sideways a little bit here, but, when we get into real estate, when an agent gets their license, the first thing they start looking for is a buyer. They're looking for buyers. Who's looking to buy a home? Who's looking to buy a home? I don't know why that's the case. Maybe it's because it's easier to work with buyers. I don't know, because there are different behaviors to work with someone who's selling their homes. But I'm trying to tell them, start with the listing. Look for people that's looking to sell a property, and your career will last a lot longer.
Yes.
You develop the listing side. Don't worry about the buyers. Because when you're looking for buyers, they may want a lease, and you don't want to work with a lease. That's not going to make any money, right?
That's right. And, that's the big concept in Millionaire Real Estate Agent by Gary Keller. Shout out to Gary. He's an awesome influencer in this space, even though, I'm an EXP agent, and, you seem to have your own brokerage. So, it's not like a promo for Keller Williams, but that book, one of the big principles is you need listings. If you're going to be a successful agent, you could be working 25 listings in a month and do it. But at most, you could be working with maybe 8 buyers at once, and you'd be slammed 7 days a week with that.
Buyers will wear you out.
Yeah. So that's great advice. Great advice. I'm curious, you mentioned failure when you were talking about the special acronym, and when then some of your students or your mentees come to you and, they have some failure that they're like, this didn't go well. What failure or apparent failure in your life has led you to later success? Do you have a favorite failure of yours?
Oh man, a favorite? I lost 50,000 once on a deal, but that lesson was really minor to other real failures in life and business and whatnot. I've had so many failures, and I think if you have not had failures, you cannot find success, And even right now, Jeffrey, I don't consider myself successful, because there's always room to learn. So I'm always learning, and that's why I write and read and things like that all the time. But I don't think there's any one thing other than working with people, just working with people. If I fail on something, it means that I didn't connect with that person well enough. I don't blame the person, the other people, or the other situation. I let myself down because I wasn't alert enough. So failures, man, I cannot think of any one single failure. I've made so many, but I've recovered, I think. I wish I could answer that.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. And, in line with that, I feel like failures, in order to pick yourself back up, it always starts with one step in the right direction. And this podcast is really about the action items for success for top real estate professionals. So do you have a single action item that is most important to you and has attributed most to your success?
My daily routine is what contributes to it's going to make or break my day. And if I get out of that routine, that day could easily be go a different direction. If I look at my phone before I do anything else, I'm starting a problem right there, you know. I really need to get up and get into my routine and a little exercise and meditation. I might watch a movie starting at 6:30 in the morning, something like that, till about 8 o'clock. Just watch a movie first thing in the morning, normally a very old movie. I like old movies, period. So that'll take me away from today's world. And that's kind of my meditation period as well. And I also see in those old movies how things connect from then and now. And that's always interesting me right there. So I want to start out like that and in a relaxed mode so I can handle what's coming on that day. If an agent calls with a problem with their client or anything like that, I want to be fresh and ready. So what makes me really successful, or what makes my days go well, is probably just getting myself right first, getting my mind straight and relaxing. When I do finish all those things, and this is kind of funny, but I do this, I simply say, okay, it's showtime. And that's how I start my day. It's showtime.
Nice. So you have word that kind of primes you. Tony Robbins talks about priming and tying meanings to specific movements or words. Like my move is like hitting my chest, and it ties back to so many times in sports when I hit a home run in baseball and everyone's around me and I'm ecstatic, right? Yeah, and so at any moment I can do that and it lights me back up, and I can get ready for a call, or I can get ready for a podcast or a meeting or whatever. Oh, and yeah. So to start your day, you say, it's showtime, and you step into that version of yourself.
That's it. And because I think it is time to get over myself. No matter how I feel, get over myself and get into what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, leave that at the door and show up.
Yeah.
I love that. So, back to your business transaction volume, doing 300 transactions is no small feat. So I'm curious, what was your percentage of referral business to new business or like lead generation?
Well, the referral business I talked about is really everything for me because I don't do a lot of lead generating anymore. I teach and coach the agents how to do it. But 95% people calling me all over the country and say, hey, Johnny, I have a daughter in Dallas. I have a friend in Dallas. And the local, repeat business also. I don't do any lead generating anymore for myself, but I do it for the company, and leads come in through our systems. That's part of the systems that I'm talking about, one of those systems. And I'm teaching and training people how to convert online leads. And it's a certain behavior out there. And, an online lead can easily tell you, well, I'm just looking, I'm just browsing. I'm not ready yet. I'll be ready in a year. And a lot of agents will simply say, okay. Some sort of fashion, they'll just simply say, okay. And I don't let that go. I'm like, is there anything that's stopping you from buying a home right now? Do you need down payment assistance? Are you empty nesting yet? Or are you waiting till your daughter or your son graduate? I want to know those kind of things, then I'll know how to help them. But I can't help them if they just say, not yet. I have to ask questions because we're in sales. And that's what salespeople do. They ask questions to the person that's interested or looking, even if you just walk into a store, browsing around, you're looking for something. Can I help you? I like to tell my agents, we're in sales, not sales prevention. Do not condone their behavior. When the buyer says, I'm not ready yet, don't condone that. Don't think that's the end of it. Ask a question. If they don't reply back, it's okay. But if they do reply back, you might have a chance to help somebody within 2 or 3 months, because there's been several times when the online leads have not ready yet, and we put them in the house in 35 days.
Right.
You got to ask the questions.
Got to ask the questions. Great point on converting online leads and how different those are from referrals. So I own a real estate marketing agency. We've specialized in automated real estate lead generation and follow-up for 4 years. And through that process, I understood that a lot of the focus would be the instantaneous response to these online leads and the conversion conversations, as well as the long-term drip campaigns. Yeah. So we built all that out, but we still really emphasize that our clients either have an internal sales agent within their brokerage that's just instantly calling these leads and texting them, or we can offer that ISA service through a partner of ours, because it's so important to get over those where they say, I'm not ready yet. Oh, I'm just browsing. I'm just looking at houses, right? Because they are at the top of the funnel. They are at the beginning of their journey. They're becoming interested in this. And now you're the first agent to talk to them. Well, that's powerful because 72% of people work with the first agent they talk to. So if you can get them at the top of the funnel, Well, now all you have to do is coach them, right? Ask them the right questions, get them over those hurdles of I'm not ready yet for whatever reason they're coming up with in their mind. And now, boom, you might have someone that's 30 days, 60 days, 90 days out. And that is not a bad lead just because they said I'm not ready. That's a yes.
Yeah.
they just said yes in 90 days.
There are no bad leads, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. So yeah, that's good to know that, nowadays you've built enough momentum to have a lot of referrals, but you've still taught a lot of conversion tactics for the lead generation systems you do have for your agents. That's great.
Yeah. And you're in that business, so you understand it. And I think we should talk more as well.
Yeah. No, I would love to. Yeah. So, with that being said, where do you think the industry is heading? What are your 5-10 year projections, right? Tesla just made another factory in Brownsville, Texas, or they will pretty soon here. And they've reinvented the car buying experience. Their stock's through the roof. They're blowing up. Right. So there's interesting companies out there that are automating massive purchases like cars. And then now there's other companies out there trying to automate the home purchase. And so, what are your 5-10 year projections?
I don't think real estate is going to change like that because that personal touch, and you can automate as many things as you want. And I came from a technology background, and I believe in automation and technology and systems like that, that you cannot automate negotiations, You can't do that. You can walk into a car dealership, all right, and they can say, hey, it's no hassle, no bargaining, things like that, and offer every car whatever the sticker price is on the car. You can't do that with a house. You can't do that. And I don't think real estate would ever get to that point. People are using those kind of online systems to sell their homes, but they're not getting proper representation. Believe me, they're not. And you and I know they're not, because I sell some of those homes they have out there listed like that, and I try to tear them apart. I'm not going to take advantage of the owner of the house, but I have to take advantage of the opportunity for my fiduciary responsibility to my client. Right. If I can get them less, then we're going to do that. If I can get a home warranty, if I can get other things like that, I'm going to get that for my client. So yeah, those companies that are doing that are trying to do that. That's one huge company we're talking about here, Zillow, probably.
Let's introduce the elephant in the room.
Yeah, let's go ahead. And no, people are still going to need the personal touch. I'm working with a seller right now, 2 sellers right now, that open door both. They approach both of those guys for buying the home. And I was like, if they offered you, per se, whatever number, then just imagine what the public might offer you. If you can get 5, 7, 10, 15,000 more, would that be okay with you? He's like, well, yeah. Well, let's give it a try. I said, we can put it on the market just 2 weeks. If it doesn't work, hey, go sell to Open Door.
Right. Yeah. Great approach. And, any agent out there can use that on their listing appointments. And I think it's common because these big companies like Open Door and Zillow have such massive marketing budgets that they are getting the sellers early in the journey. They are fishing upstream and getting them. A lot of times you come up to a listing appointment. Yeah, we've already talked to Open Door and this and that and one other agent, and now we're talking to you. And so it's a little bit tougher when you're not getting in the door first, right? And that's part of the philosophy of my agency is like fishing upstream with the Zillows and all them to help beat them out at their own game and get in the door first. But yeah, it's interesting when you have to go then field that question from this seller saying, hey, they made this offer. I think it's worth more. I don't know what to do. And they don't really have that representation. They're just trying to make that decision on their own. And then now you can come in with the fiduciary responsibility to get them the most money possible and represent them. The thing that you said that I love, which might even be the title of this podcast, is you can't automate negotiations, right? Or was it conversations? It wasn't negotiations?
Negotiations, yeah.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's a great one-liner. So thank you for that. Really appreciate it. And that's been the philosophy of my agency is like, I don't want all the systems we build to sell the home for you. That's not the point. Mm-hmm. The point is to attract buyer sellers at the beginning of their journey, kind of automate some of the minutia and like the simple stuff to get the conversation to happen. Like the goal is the phone call. Like, let's get you on the phone with them or let's get a listing appointment on the calendar. And so I love that. Actually,
the goal is really getting an appointment.
That's it. Yeah. And our mission actually as a company is to reinstate the negotiation between, buyer and seller in a real estate transaction. Because in my opinion, the single company monopoly playing judge, jury, and executioner, writing the contracts, representing the seller, representing the buyer, and providing the financing all in one house, that's the biggest conflict of interest I've ever heard of. So
right. Yeah, I'm not sure how the state the board is letting some of these things happen. I really don't know.
Yeah. So my big why with my company is to compete with them on their level, but real estate professionals are essential, and I want them to negotiate and compete and represent their buyer and their seller. So I'm totally in alignment with you on that, and I think that's a great projection.
I like that. Thanks. I'm going to write that down myself.
Oh, there you go.
You can negotiate.
Yeah, you can't automate negotiations. So, when you're evaluating what to say no to, I'm sure that there are a lot of things that you need to vet of, yes, start, stop, continue, or, it seems like a good opportunity, but no. What's your process for that? What's your process for evaluating what to say no to?
Special.
There you go.
Special.
Back to it.
Yeah, I have to remind myself of that all the time. And when I do get back to that, when I'm really questioning something or, which direction to go or should I do this, I go back to special. I can't tell you, it's just so easy. Every time I go back to special, I go SPECIAL. I do. And it's like, okay, now I feel instantly better. And that's how I get to a no. That's my quickest way to get to a no. And that no can be, no, I don't think I'm the right agent for this buyer, or no, I don't think I'm the right agent for this seller. And outside of real estate as well. But that helps me get to a no quicker than anything else.
Interesting. So you go back to those behaviors and traits which you have set forth to be this person, and you ask, is the question something like, is this in alignment? Is this reinforcing? Is this, a display of? Like, how are you comparing it to special?
Well, it depends on the situation. Like, just say I have a partner that just approached me and they want to be one of our alliances, one of our preferred partners. And I can go back and I'm going to get some information from them first, and we're going to meet and things like that. Or I might already know these people in the industry, but I can go back and look at special, and I'm going to say, do I like, his or her self-image? Do I like their swag? How do they communicate with people? How have I seen them communicating with people? How did they talk during our conversation? I'll measure it right there. With their self-image is first. Their persona, some of the same characteristics in there, but it matters. Their excellence. I mean, they can tell me what they're experiencing. I've been doing this for 25 years and things like that, but I don't care about that. Give me something more excellent than that. Tell me more about your company or something like that as well. And then the come and goes. We all have the same come and goes most of the time. And that's a fact. We all need clients. Integrity. That's when you can really measure from that communication with them, that swag. The way someone carry themselves, the way they walk and things like that, you can also tag integrity along with that sometimes, It's just a feeling. Then their attitudes toward business, like, why won't you do business with me? I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. Then the license part, and then the audacity, But I go through that, and I typically know in those few characters right there where this is going to go, or should I give them a try? One of the examples I use like this, Jeffrey, is, when you're playing golf. You mentioned golf earlier. I like playing golf as well. I played for a long time. But often, and I like to play with strangers most of the time because I like meeting people. And I play better with strangers than my friends because we don't have too much fun, So typically after about the 8th or 9th hole, you figure out whether you're going to make the turn or not, depending on how you're feeling. That's when someone normally asks you, from my experience, so Johnny, what do you do? Then I tell them my excellence. I deliver my little 15-second excellence, that I might say something like, I have buyers and sellers transition between homes. Then they might say, so are you a realtor? I said, yeah. And then we talk on from that point. But people, if I'm out there swinging a club and I hit a really bad shot and I throw the club in the water, in the tree, or, scream or something like that, you can kind of tell someone's disposition.
Right.
Whether you want to know them after you get finished playing golf or not,
Right.
So that's when special comes in to me also.
Very interesting. And I love the golf analogy. It's such a challenging, frustrating sport to go out and do with a group of people, especially if you're then first meeting for the first time, or you highly respect them, or you're at a, celebrity or pro-am golf tournament. And it's so frustrating to line up for a shot, and a shot, maybe it's your favorite club and you've hit it so many times and stuck the green, and you just shank it into the woods out of bounds. And how you react in that moment, gosh, I've been guilty of it. And I really try to come across in the best light when those moments happen and be calm. I was actually this last weekend on a golf retreat, boys trip out to Scottsdale. It was amazing. We were playing incredible courses that you only see on TV. And the golf pro that flew out from LA and went with us and like lined everything up, he, as we were driving to the course, was listening to Zen Golf. Zen Golf is a great book. It's a audio book. I only listened to a little bit of it, but I'm going to buy it and start to consume it because it talked all about the gentlemanly aspect of golf, the honor and the mindset, and so many things that go into it. Not the swing. It's all about like being Zen and being centered. Yeah, exactly. Back to behavior. So yeah, really important. And as you mentioned, then that comes across in an intangible way, whether somebody then wants to meet you further, do business with you, get your number. And if you're going to golf to network or you're doing anything in life to network, all of those little habits and behaviors are watched and monitored by other people, even if on a subconscious level. Yeah.
And special works both ways. And I have agents ask me, is it their special or my special? It's who you connect with. If you have the same kind of self-image and swag, then that's the kind of person you're probably going to want to be around,
Yep.
And same kind of persona, etc. If they don't match up, then so if someone did throw the club in the water, but that's the kind of thing I do too. I'm like, hey, we should hang out. But if they throw the club in the water and a lot of cursing and stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, hey, it's been a great day. Nice meeting you.
Right. Yeah. Take care.
Yeah. Good luck next time. Fast time in the parking lot.
Yeah, exactly. So I talked about Zen Golf, and that reminded me of books. Do you have like 1 to 3 favorite books from, could be business, could be life, could be mindset, but does anything come to mind?
Most of the books that I would read over the past 30-something years were technical kind of books. But my favorite kind of getaway book might be like Dane Kuntz, author. I think an author is probably the best way I can describe it right now. That's a way of getting away. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Tim Ferriss talks about there's no shame in reading fiction to escape. And you mentioned waking up and part of your morning routine is watching a movie.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. So your philosophy behind that is that you are kind of disconnecting from yourself and your attachment to the day. Is that right?
Yes, disconnecting from today's world, because most of them are black and white movies, really.
Right. And
I even record those to watch them later and stuff like that, and I can watch them over and over again. But that's my disconnect from the world. Interesting. And do you believe that helps you come across with a more calm demeanor when conflicts arise? I guess I'm going to have to believe that. Because it's still in the routine, My routine has changed a lot since I'm still a realtor, but I don't work with as many clients anymore. So the routine has changed, and I have to check and see what's going on with the agents and things like that. But yeah, it's kind of funny you asked that question, because I can relate back to scenes in movies a lot of times from a calm perspective. Because, most of the black and white movies were calm, So yeah, it has happened. Yeah, interesting. A lot of the black and white movies, I just watched Casablanca when I was flying to Scottsdale. Yeah. And the script writing is so superior to the movies today that rely so much on graphics and special effects. I mean, there are some gems that arise that are like really well written, well scripted movies today, but they're typically based on books. Yeah. So I agree that truly tuning into an amazing black and white movie or one of the classics or something that's just a total storytelling journey, that can be so engaging. I mean, I'm not the person who can fall asleep during a movie. Like if a movie starts and I'm dead tired, I'm going to finish it because I'm engaged in the story, and it does kind of remove me from self for that time. So I did see Casablanca again within the past month, and every time that last ending, the two guys walking away, it gets me every time. Yeah. They're becoming buddies. They're buddies now. They're taking care of each other. Yeah, no, absolutely. And just so well written. Such a great movie for the script, so I love that. And I'm curious, back to kind of real estate, and I know you're doing more coaching now, and your team leader and your day-to-day has changed. But even now,
when you're getting listings, how are you leveraging digital marketing to help gain exposure to those listings? Whether that's for your agents or for yourself.
I push social media more than anything. Social media is everything nowadays. Back when I had I've had other businesses that I've been involved in. I had one for 14 years or so in 2005, and I had to use the internet. I was one of the first people to start using the internet back in, I say one of the first people, but it's back in 1995, and with a website and stuff like that. But now it's just social media. I mean, you got YouTube, but the biggest one out there now is Facebook, and it's free. You got to use it. And when an agent come into the company and they only have 300, 400, 500, 700 friends on Facebook, I asked them, to reconsider this. Get as many friends as possible. Get to the 5,000 limit. That way, every time you post something, they're going to see what you post. Majority, or some of them anyway. Then if they click on it or make a comment, their friends are going to see it. And you need this to happen daily. At least 2 or 3 times a week, I say post something in your business page, but also move it over to your personal page at some point during that week right there. So social media, I'm going to post it out there besides the MLS, of course, when you get a listing. And these days, that's pretty much that pretty much does it. Unless you have a larger listing at 700 or $1 million, $1.5 million, 2 million and up. But you have to use social media as far as digital goes. Now, I'm going to encourage our drip campaigns and things like that too, through our Communications Inc., our system that we use. So drip campaigns with social media, get it out there to social media right away. Encourage your friends to, like it or comment or something like that. Get that thing rolling.
Yeah, absolutely. So organic, right? So you're not necessarily paying for ads on top of it. It's, organic reach. And like you mentioned, in today's market, for a median home price, you basically whisper about it and it goes for $50K over asking.
Yeah, you got everybody raising their hands. I want that. I want that. I want that. Right. So the last 2020 or the last year has been different in real estate. Yeah. But technology-wise, to stay on top of the technology is what I tell everyone. We had a workshop yesterday. We talked about technology and even just sending out letters. Just letters again, and knocking on doors. One of the big things I talked about yesterday, I think I really rang loud on that because so many sellers are getting, so many owners are getting these messages. Hey, I have someone who want to buy your home. So we might be back to that stage where knocking on the doors is the advantage now.
Yeah,
I think that's coming back around, Jeffrey. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So I had an interesting experience on my flight to Scottsdale. There was a gentleman next to me had a tailor-made hat. So I struck up a conversation about golf. And, he's a homeowner in St. Louis. They're visiting family in Orange County. And then they were flying over to Phoenix where they have a second home. So I was just chatting about throughout the flight. Right when we land in Scottsdale, or I guess Sky Harbor in Phoenix, he gets a call. And it's from like a robo-dialer, like, hey, do you want to sell your home? We have investors looking for this. So he handled it very calmly. He asked his wife, hey, do we want to sell our home? She said, nope. And he said, no, thank you. Right. And it went click. But after that, he got so angry about all the investors that are coming in and flipping single family homes, ranch style, and then making 2 mega mansion 2 stories in the same lot. And, it's so hard for a normal guy with a good job and a family to just go get a house. Yeah. And so it's really interesting, like the position that the market's in right now. And I do think that showing up and either getting some kind of exposure, digitally with your branding, your face and video, or showing up in person are really good ways to warm people up to you as a potential person that can consult them through this journey. I'm a big believer in that. Like, door knocking is powerful because you're there. You're in person with them, right? You can read them. But I think the second best medium to kind of warm someone up prior to them seeing you is video. And, video is so powerful nowadays. So,
yeah, I think video is going to be I think it rates higher than anything else right now. Yeah, video.
Yeah, absolutely. And
I like video. I have a lot of little short videos and things like that. So couple that with someone say, hey, I saw you. Oh, yeah, you're Johnnie Morine. Yeah, it helps. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to, lead generation, I know you mentioned that nowadays you're not as active in it, but you do coach it. Other than referrals, what's been your number one most profitable lead generation source?
Well, other than our online and referrals and repeat business. I mean, those are the top three right there, right?
So
Other ways of getting business.
So then other than referrals, online has been your most profitable.
Yeah, it really is, because I don't think a lot of my people, I guess I'll add this in here. My top producers last year, they did a lot of videos. So I'm going to say video. Those are those three things we mentioned there: referrals, repeat business, and video. I think is, I think those are the things right there. I don't know if video is going to ever surpass referrals. I mean, referrals and repeat business are your best clients. Videos, you're going to meet a lot of new people, which is good, because we need to meet new people all the time. I don't know. So referral and repeat business are the strongest, but videos, the people last year that did the most business, they were doing videos 4 or 5 times a week.
Constantly. Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. And really that means social, if we kind of zoom out from that, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You have to appear that you're a social person anyway.
Yeah. And, with social media, I think the biggest thing that sets you up for success with that is your focus on conversion scripts, conversion conversations, because I hear so many brokers that we've never gotten ROI from social media, right? Social media leads are terrible, or, whatever it is, whatever their mindset is. But I think that your focus on, having a tech background, understanding that people across the internet are people too, they need to be talked to differently than a referral who someone said, hey, my brother knows everything about you and he's ready to buy now. Like, those are different conversations. Right. And so I really think that your success and your team's success from generating either organic leads from social media or paid leads is from those conversion scripts. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah. And I do the videos for branding purposes, period. When I post something on Facebook, I don't expect to get a buyer or a seller. I don't have that mindset anymore that I'm going to get a buyer or a seller, but I want to keep branding. So when they are ready, they know where to come. And,
right.
Branding and marketing can be two different things, but they also are co-mingle as well. So the videos and just branding yourself out there, it's going to make you stronger, for the next year. Because when you're branding, you're working on things next year. When you're marketing, you're trying to get something right now.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah. So with branding, I mean, we could talk about this for so long, but my firm offers branding, advertising, and consulting. And you're right, branding intermingles with marketing. I put it like this: when it comes to advertising, there are two kinds. There's brand awareness and direct response. Direct response is, here's a list of homes, right? And people put in their name, phone number, and email, and that's a buyer lead. That's like direct response. But brand awareness is kind of commingle with direct response, because when they see that ad, it's you and your page running it on social media. When they click to your website, it's your website. That's another impression, right? And in addition to that, now we can go down the brand story route. If you have like a brand story video and you push that out to the market, feel good, it talks about your why. Now they can trust you, believe you. You can retarget people with that. Mm-hmm. Once they are in the funnel and they've kind of raised their hand and said, hey, I want a free home evaluation. But then they maybe didn't show up for the appointment. Well, now you can retarget them with feel good, brand awareness, things of that nature to make them trust you and realize that you're an authority. And that's where that video comes in. So yeah, it's interesting how once you have all the pieces of the puzzle together, now the conversations become just a little bit easier when you're on the phone with them. They have a little bit more built-in trust when you do show up and door knock. Hey, you're Johnnie Morine, right? People recognize, and it takes a while. Brand awareness is a longer term. One of my top clients has been doing, brand awareness on billboards and radio and everything for 25 years, and finally now he's like this local legend in his area. But like it took a long time, so it's good to have both. Is the point?
You mentioned that you just said then you can have that conversation. And a couple minutes ago, you mentioned scripts a couple of times, because a lot of people feel like they need scripts, and some people do need scripts. But when you have the knowledge and you're confident in yourself and your ability and what's going on, you can have the conversation. You don't have to have a script that you're going to go by to fill these people out. It's going to be standard. It's just going to be a part of your fabric that what to ask next, and the body language and the movements and the comebacks they have. You just reply in conversation as you ask the right questions. And I'm bringing it up because so many of the agents ask about scripts. I'm like, hey, get comfortable with yourself. Here's a stack of scripts, but hey, go get comfortable with yourself with business and real estate and things like that. And you won't need a script. You're going to know what the lender needs for that buyer. You're going to ask that buyer, do you have any, what's your debt to income ratio or whatever, or your credit scores? Or you're going to ask the buyer, do you have a student loan? Because we know student loans can kill any deal if they're not current. And just get comfortable with yourself. And when you knock on that door, everything just kind of rolls.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. And on that point with scripts, when I did direct sales right out of high school, they kept handing me these scripts to follow. And at first I was very resistant to them. But then once I went out and went 0 for 13 on my first 13 appointments, it's like, okay, I've experienced enough pain now to see if this other thing works, the script thing, right? And so I then became, followed the script, became like top 1% sales rep in the company. But through that journey of learning the proper information that I needed to communicate in order to get this process happening, whether it was setting the appointment or then, closing the deal. Mm-hmm. Now, because I had done it thousands of times, I could have a general conversation and know in my head, I know these 4 points of data, but the fifth one I still don't know yet. Mm-hmm. And so it can happen in a different order as the conversation goes. You can still check all the boxes.
Exactly.
So I think that's the value of scripting, is like you understand what's needed and how someone else was successful with it. And once you truly master that, now you can affect your tonality and your inflection and the way that you deliver it and the order even of the information in the way that makes more sense to you.
Right. Totally. Exactly. I need you to come and teach the agents for me one afternoon.
Hey, let's do it. Yeah. Is there a question that I should have asked you, or, anything that you'd like to expand on from earlier?
No, I love real estate so much and what I do and what it's been able to do for me. We could talk about it for days. So we hit a lot of really good points, and I learned some interesting things. I'm always going to learn something. And I always tell people, you got to have a story. Yeah, maybe that's one thing I might add in here. If an agent wants to start their own teams and do some different things like that, or even be successful in real estate, I'll stop them and ask them. I'll ask, what's your story? And they're like, what do you mean? I said, well, my story. I told you about my story, how I decided to go into real estate in December. In January, I ordered the classes online. And 6 days later, I was finished with the class, which they don't allow you to do now. You have to wait 48 hours in between classes. And they were like, how could you do that in 6 days? I said, that's not the point. Your story. I have a story to tell someone, and I share that story, and it helps me connect with people a bit more. So if I want people to follow me or roll with me, they need to know my story. So for any team leader out there or a business owner that want to continue growing and things of that sort, make sure you have a story, a real story that you can deliver every day.
Nailed it. And I'm going to take another minute to expand upon that because it's so important. I mean, we've talked about books, fiction books, and movies in this podcast, getting lost in the script and the story. Branding is storytelling. That is what it is. And so now you can unwrap the mystery of what branding is. Human beings remember things based on stories. And every story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. There's typically some kind of hook, some kind of plot with characters in it, and then some kind of resolution. So with that being said, you got to have that story down. And here's what will happen when you do. If you craft it in a way that speaks to your experience and it's honest, but it also then sheds light on maybe your excellence, right? If that's what the story is supposed to reflect. Now, everyone that you talk to, buyers and sellers, will remember it much more, and they'll be able to actually tell it to other people with a much higher percentage rather than, hey, I'm X with Y brokerage. How's it going? I can help you buy and sell a home. If you tell them your journey, your story, and you can sum it up concisely, but in a powerful way, work on that. That's part of the work that we do in our branding portion of my agency is we help draw out that story that's living in many team leaders, right? It's there. We just need to put it down on paper and then put it into a way that could be communicated effectively. So love that last point about storytelling. And that's a huge part of what, I focus on a daily basis.
Yeah, great. Perfect. I think that's the only thing that I would add. And I'm good.
How can listeners contact you?
Well, again, I'm Johnnie Morine with Morine Group Realtors in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And my number is 817-266-6629. Again, it's 817-266-6629. And you can go to our website, our career website at MorineRealtors.com. MORINE Realtors.com. And check us out. Look at our FAQs, and we're looking to continue growing in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and Houston, and on into San Antonio and Austin. We have some great plans for satellite offices, so just give us a call.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Johnnie Morine. Really appreciate you being on today. Fantastic episode, and I know my listeners are going to appreciate it.
Jeffrey, I'll see you soon. Thanks, man.
Thank you for listening. If you want to accomplish your real estate goals, then I highly suggest downloading my free Ultimate Real Estate Goal Setting Framework. The link is in the description of the show, and it will help you break down your annual income goal into the amount of phone calls, appointments, or open houses you need in order to achieve that goal. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.